प्रणाली शिक्षामन्त्रालयस्य संयुक्त अध्वर्ये अस्माभिः अस्य विश्वविद्यालयेन व्यापिन्याम् अस्यां राष्ट्रीयकार्यशालायां शोधप्रस्तावलेखनकार्यशालायाम् अस्यां भवतां समेषां स्वागतं सुस्वागतम्। तत्र अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य प्रमुखाः अत्र सर्वे समुपस्थिताः, भारतस्य विभिन्नकोणेभ्यः पण्डिताः विद्वांसः सर्वेपि समागताः। भवतां सर्वेषां पुनरेकवारं स्वागतं सुस्वागतम्। अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य मुख्यातिथयः भवन्ति आचार्य जी सूर्यनारायणमूर्तिमहोदयाः। भवन्तं स्वागतं कृत्वा कृपया वेदिकाम् अलङ्कुर्वन्तु इति प्रार्थये। तथैव विशिष्टातिथयः अद्य भवन्ति IIT तिरुपति इत्यस्याः संस्थायाः निदेशकाः प्रोफेसर् के सत्यनारायणमहोदयाः। कृपया मञ्चम् अलङ्कुर्वन्तु इति प्रार्थये। अस्य राष्ट्रीयसंस्कृतविश्वविद्यालयस्य कुलसचिवाः भवन्ति कमाण्डर् छल्ला वेङ्कटेश्वर महोदयाः। तानपि सम्प्रार्थये कृपया मञ्चम् अलङ्कुर्वन्तु इति। तथैव अस्मिन् कार्यक्रमे समुपस्थिताः सन्ति सूर्यनारायणमहोदयाः, आचार्याः ए श्रीपादभट्टमहोदयाः अस्य राष्ट्रीयसंस्कृतविश्वविद्यालयस्य शैक्षिकसङ्घाय प्रमुखाः सन्ति। तानपि मञ्चम् अलङ्कुर्वन्तु इति सम्प्रार्थये। तथैव के सूर्यनारायणमहोदयाः सन्ति अस्य राष्ट्रीयसंस्कृतविश्वविद्यालयस्य IKS विभागस्य निदेशकाः भवन्ति। तानपि सम्प्रार्थये कृपया मञ्चम् अलङ्कुर्वन्तु इति। अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य शुभारम्भः वैदिक्याप्रार्थनया अस्माभिः सर्वथा क्रियते। तत्र वेदभाष्यविभागस्य अतिथि अध्यापकः अस्ति अस्माकं डॉक्टर् दुर्गाशरण रथ महोदयः। तं सम्प्रार्थये कृपया आगत्य वैदिकीं प्रार्थनां कुर्वन्तु इति।
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। आब्रह्मन् ब्राह्मणो ब्रह्मवर्चसी जायतामाराष्ट्रे राजन्यः शूर इषव्योतिव्याधिमहारथो जायताम्। निकामे निकामेनः पर्जन्यो वर्षतु फलवत्यो न ओषधयः पच्यन्ताम्। योगक्षेमो नः कल्पताम्। पुनस्त्वादित्या रुद्रावसवः समिन्धतां पुनर्ब्रह्माणो वसुनीथयज्ञैः कृतेन त्वन्तन्वं वर्धयस्व सत्याः सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः स्वाहा। हरिः ओम्।
कार्यक्रमस्य शुभारम्भः दीपप्रज्वालनेन अस्माभिः सर्वथा क्रियते। अतः मञ्चस्थान् सर्वान् अतिथीन् सम्प्रार्थये कृपया दीपप्रज्वलनं कुर्वन्तु। सर्वे सम्प्रति स्वागतभाषणाय अस्य राष्ट्रीयसंस्कृतविश्वविद्यालयस्य IKS विभागस्य निदेशकाः भवन्ति अस्माकं के सूर्यनारायणमहोदय। तान् सम्प्रार्थये अतिथीनाम् आगतानां स्वागतं कुर्वन्तु इति।
श्रियःकान्ताय कल्याण नित्ये निधये वेङ्कटनिवासाय श्री सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कार। राष्ट्रीय पक्षतः भवद्भ्यः सर्वेभ्यः हार्दं स्वागतं व्याहरामि। महतः प्रमोदस्य अवसरः अयं यत् एतादृशकार्यक्रम आयोजनार्थं कश्चन अवसरः अस्माभिः प्राप्तः। I extend a warm welcome to all the participants who have come from different parts of the country as well as from the nearby college. I thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor G, for the opportunity, and he has given a lot of support to conduct this. Sir was to Delhi on an urgent mission, so he will not be present at the moment, but he said, please carry on, not be away. I extend a warm welcome to all the participants. Also, the chief guest of the day, Professor Satyanarayan Garu, IIT Delhi Director, who has accepted our request. Yes, thank you, sir, for your presence. I feel that the mere presence of simple source of inspiration, they just be even if they are there. The presence is source of inspiration. As you know, sir has been a second term director, so administrative abilities are that is there. Thank you, sir, for being with us. I extend a warm welcome to Ganti Surnarayanamurthy, coordinator of Indian Knowledge System. Who has been, I think, I see sir like a one-man army. He has been going continuing tirelessly different places of the country and explaining people what actually this, because it is still an area which is emerging slowly and people are not really understanding what it is really about it, and he has been really going. I am really surprised at his zeal, energy, and dedication to this event. Really thank you. Actually, I feel one thing, not only our institute, the entire academic community of the country was, are obliged to him for his. Thank you, sir, giving this opportunity for coming here and guiding all of us. I extend my thankfulness to our Honorable Registrar Venkateswarlu for being with us here, because he is the administrative head of the institute and he has been always supportive. Even when night also, when I go and request, immediately he's telling, okay, go ahead, we are there to take garment and all that. Thank you, sir. And our affairs. I also extend my gratefulness to our Dean Academic Affairs, Sripada Bhattugaru. He is our Dean Academic Affairs and a well-known Jyotisha scholar in the country. So thank you, sir, for your support and us. And we have got now. I have here with us Raghav Garu, IIT professor, who is recently been got a IKS project center. Raghav Garu is actually what is happening from morning. I am getting continuously calls. Somebody is stuck somewhere. They want something clarity and all that happens. So this is what I'm. Before actually, not only the question of thanking, just to give experiences of my. I'm taking little bit time, but I think because we are talking about IKS. Recently, my experience with IKS, one example I'll tell. Recently, I came across one research project that handled at United States, California. Project is Earth, Earth Species Project. Very fascinating. What they are trying to do, they are trying to talk on non-humans, and what they tell is more than 8 billion species share our planet only understand language of one. On 8 million species, animal, birds, marine life, whatever, all and everything included. And we understand the human language only. And it is important to understand the non-human speech also or communication. Because if we want to save this earth, save the nature, very important for understanding. And what they are telling, so they want to understand. They are trying to make understand the language of animals and birds also. And what these people have done is that they have put heavy microphones, biosensors, and tracking their sounds and trying to understand their language. So that if you understand, imagine if you are able to understand the language of an elephant or a horse, it becomes much more understanding to them, and we will be able to. This is how they are saving whales at the moment. Whales. And when I have seen this, I have come across immediately one thing that my mind was there is a sutra in Yoga Shastra. Vibhuti Pada tells that Shabdartha Pratyarthanam Itaretaraadhyasat Sankarastat Pravibhaga Samyamat Sarvabhuta Jnanam. The sutra means that Shabdartha Pratyarthanam, Shabda Artha Pratyaya. Shabda means the sound, uttered word, Artha means the meaning, and Pratyaya is the cognition, understanding, the comprehension. So when I utter a word, immediately you understand certain cow. If I tell that there's a uttered word, the meaning, and it's also cognition. So these three things are there. And the sutra is telling that they are so closely intermixed that you can't separate one from the other. So intermingled, can't separate. But if a person can do samyama and separate these three things, then sarvabhuta jnanam, not only the language of the human beings, but you will be able to understand the language of every creature in the world. So what I'm telling that there was a current research and there was a parallel concept in the ancient. Now, suppose if I do samyama and then I'm able to separate these things, I understand. So I'm parallel. But in the 12th century, just I'll conclude. So everybody cannot become a yogi and do samyama and then understand. That takes lifetime. The 12th century AD, Someshwara, King Someshwara, he has written a book called Manasollasa. And in Manasollasa, he has given phenomenal description of the animals and their habits, their characteristics, their feet. Name it, it is there. And very interesting, has given the words which a mahout should utter to an elephant in order to communicate with it. And in this book, I have got more than about 200 and 300 words which they have given how to communicate with an elephant. Now, what is happening is that there is a current research, there is a knowledge in the ancient India, and this knowledge remains here. They are doing, and very interestingly, one American lady, Andrea Gutierrez, she is working on animal speech. Now, these people are sending these people to India, collect this data, use there, never mention this. So what is happening? Our traditions are not looked at. It's our duty. It's our national heritage. It's our pride. Our country should do. Our Sanskrit should go beyond their limits, and the Sanskrit community has a lot to contribute for the modern science also. That's what I wanted. Not able to not take much time. I thought that this is very important. And anybody, and I have got more than thousands of references, which I have done out of love for the subject, which I have been doing for 20 years. And in this, I have got all the references for different subjects, like whatever you name it, and we can talk later. Thanks, sir. Thanks for this time. And I just wanted to share this information. To honor our chief guest with a bouquet of flowers. I request our Honorable Dean Sir to uh, uh, honor Surnaran Murthy Garu with flowers. Because without them we can't do much. And thanks a lot.
प्रति रिसर्च् विभागस्य सहायकाध्यापकं डॉक्टर शिवराम भट्ट महोदयं सम्प्रार्थे नारायण महोदयाय पुष्पगुच्छेन सम्मानः। धन्यवादः सर। सम्प्रति अस्माकं शैक्षिकसङ्काय विभागस्य शिक्षासङ्कायस्य भवन्ति आचार्याः ए श्रीपादभट्टमहोदयाः। तान् सम्प्रार्थे कृपया अस्मान् सर्वान् उद्बोधयन्तु इति।
ओ ब्रह्मणे नमो अस्त्वग्धये नमः पृथिव्यै नमो ओषधीभ्यः नमो वाचे नमो वाचस्पतये नमो विष्णवे बृहते करोमि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। आदरणीयाः ऐटी देशकवर्याः एतस्य प्रक्रमस्य तत्र भारतदेशे कार्यं कुर्वाणः घण्टी सूर्यनारायण महोदयः, वेंकटेश महोदयः, आचार्य सूर्यनारायण महोदयः, उपस्थिताः विद्वांसः। First, I am a very small person talk in front of galaxy of these scholars talk about Indian knowledge system. तथापि मया किञ्चित् तत्र अधीतम् इति कारणात् मया किञ्चित् तत्र अस्माभिः तत्र उच्यते तत्र अस्मिन् तत्र जगति this universe man has come from lakhs of years back, but historians tell in other way, they never go beyond. तर्हि एतावत् पर्यन्तं till 16 or 15th century तर्हि मानवः मूर्ख एव आसीत् वा तथा वक्तुं न शक्यते। Suddenly at the fine morning in the 16th century man become intelligent and scientific discoveries taken place. एवं अंगीकृत, इट्स नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल एट ऑल। तर्हि प्राचीनकाले अपि आसन्, यतोहि प्राचीनवेदानां पुराणानां मध्येन अस्माभिः ज्ञातुं शक्यते तत्र भौतिकविकासस्यापि आत्मनः उन्नतिः कामयामानाः अस्माकं ऋषिमुनयः आसन्। तेन सह भौतिकविकासार्थम् अपेक्षिताः बहवः विषयाः तैः अस्माकं मानवकुलस्य कृते दत्ताः सन्ति। एतत् वयं जानीमः पुराणानां वेदानाम् अध्ययनेन। वयं तत्र मया किञ्चित् गणितशास्त्रं भारतीयं गणितम् अधीतम् इति कारणात् गणितशास्त्रस्य विकासः बहु आसीत्। एवम् अन्यानि अपि शास्त्राणि। तर्हि अस्माभिः नित्यजीवने पूजादिषु सुवर्णस्य उपयोगः क्रियते, रजतस्य उपयोगः क्रियते। तर्हि एतत् सुवर्णं कस्मात् प्राप्तं? भूमौ उपरि दर्शनेन सुवर्णं इट् इस् नाट् विजिबल्, सुवर्णं वा रजतं वा न दृष्टं। तर्हि बहु समृद्धिः आसीत् सुवर्णानां रत्नानां। तैः कथम् एतत् सर्वं सम्प्राप्तं? तर्हि अवश्यं तत्र देर् वास् सम् सैन्टिफिक् एक्टिविटीस् इन् दोस् टैम्। द कोर्स् आफ् टैम् वी हाव् लास्ट् इट्। तदेव इदानीं तत्र उन्नतिः अवनतिः जायमाना भवति। उदाहरणार्थं गणिते अस्माभिः प्राचीनकाले गणितं कथम् आकर्षकरीत्या तैः तैः पाठितम् आसीत्। वेरि अट्राक्टिव् स्टैल्। उदाहरणार्थं नम्बर्स् गेम्, उदाहरणार्थं वयं वदामश्चेत् अस्माकं बोर् भवति। उदाहरणं प्राचीन आर्यभटीयम् अनन्तरं तत्र भास्कराचार्याः इत्यादीनां ग्रन्थेषु they've used letters to indicate numbers. उदाहरणार्थं 40 3,20,000 इति वक्तव्यं चेत् ह्यू घृ इति उच्यते चेत् पर्याप्तम्। आर्यभट्टेन तथा आसीत्। एवमेव उदाहरणार्थं कलियुग, द्वापरयुग, त्रेतायुग, अनन्तरं युगस्य प्रमाणानि वक्तव्यानि। नम्बर् अपेक्षया ज्ञानेन श्रीलाभः इत्युक्ते 4,32,000, ज्ञानिनो वित्तदाः इत्युक्ते 12,96,000, ज्ञानी नीतिधारकः इत्युक्ते 12,96,000, नो चेत् भवद्भिः षण्णवत्यधिकसहस्राधिक 12,00,000 इति वक्तव्यमासीत्। एवमेव ज्ञानी निर्जरैः सेव्यः इत्युक्ते 17,28,000 इति एवं क्रमेण बहवः तत्र विचारः तत्र ज्योतिषशास्त्रे तत्र उक्ताः सन्ति। मया वास्तुशास्त्रम् अधीतं। वास्तुशास्त्रे उच्यते एषा अवर् मदर् अर्त् कीप्स् सम् एट् देट् टैम् वी शुड् नाट् डिस्टर्ब् हर्। तत्र यदा निद्रा करोति निद्राति वी शुड् नाट् वी हेव् नाट् डिग् हर्, तदा शी विल् बि डिस्टर्ब्ड्। तदर्थम् यतोहि तस्याः अपि जीवनः अस्ति। इदानीं वाट् हेपन् इन् अवर् मोडर्न् सैन्स्, वी थॉट that we are only existed in this earth, we ignored everything other than mankind. तत्र तदर्थं भूमेः अपि जीवः नास्ति इति कथम् अङ्गीकर्तुं शक्यते? इदानीं वृक्षाणि अस्माभिः आरोप्यन्ते, तर्हि वृक्षाः उत्पद्यन्ते, तर्हि भूमौ जीवः नास्ति कथं वक्तुं शक्यते? प्रमाणानि सन्ति, यतोहि जीवः अस्ति चेत् अस्ति। तर्हि अस्माभिः यथेच्छं तस्य खननं क्रियते चेत् तस्याः डिस्टर्ब् हौ मच् पेन् she gets, we don't know. We, according to our will, we disturb the tranquility and serenity of the earth. तस्माभिः न करणीयं वस्तुतस्तु। इदानीं भवद्भिः दृष्टं स्यात् इदानीं टर्की, सिरिया इत्यादिषु कथं जायमानमस्ति। तर्हि भूमेः कीदृशी हानिः, कीदृशं तत्र वेदना भवति वयं न जानीमः, किन्तु अस्माकं प्रमाणानि सन्ति, सः जीवः अस्ति, किन्तु नास्ति इति वक्तुं न शक्यते। एवमेव सूर्यादीनां तत्र अस्माभिः वस्तुतस्तु मानवस्य मितिः अत्यन्तं सूक्ष्मा अस्ति। भवन्तः ज्योतिषशास्त्रस्य अथवा खगोलशास्त्रस्य अध्ययनं कुर्वन्ति चेत् अस्माभिः यत्र मन्दाकिनी व्यवस्थायाम् अत्र स्थीयते, अस्माकं वेरि मैन्यूट् पार्ट् अस्ति। एतादृशः सहस्राधिकसौरमण्डलानि तत्र सन्ति। तर्हि अस्माकं स्थानं किम्? अस्माभिः केवलं तावदेव ज्ञातम्। अस्माकं नियरेस्ट् नेबर् इस् चन्द्रः, किन्तु वी आर् नाट् अनेबल् टु इवन् रीच् चन्द्र। यद्यद् 1967 मध्ये वयम् अस्माभिः गतमासीत्, अनन्तरं न गतं। तर्हि अस्माकं ज्ञानम् अत्यन्तं सीमितं विद्यते। तर्हि अस्माभिः किमुच्यते तत्र वेदेषु पुराणेषु तत्सर्वम् इति अस्माभिः रिसर्च् करणीयम्, अनुसन्धानं करणीयं, तदा एव अस्माभिः ज्ञातुं शक्यते। ज्ञात्वा किमपि नास्ति इति कथं वा अस्माभिः वक्तुं शक्यते? तदर्थम् अस्माकं भारतसर्वकारेण पुनः अस्माकं देशस्य समुत्थानार्थम् एतादृशी परियोजना आनीता अस्ति। येन भारतीयप्राचीनशास्त्राणां पुनरुद्धारः भवेत्। यस्य कस्यापि देशस्य उन्नतिः करणीया चेत् तत्र तस्य देशस्य तत्र पृष्ठभूमिः तत्र अपेक्षते। तस्मात् तत्र संस्कृति, भौगोलिक लक्षणानि एतत् सर्वं दृष्ट्वा तदनुरूपेण अस्माभिः गन्तव्यं। तदर्थमेव अस्माभिः अहं कोऽस्मि इति आदौ उच्यते। अस्माकं ज्ञानम् अस्माकं भारतदेशस्य तदर्थ इदानीं विद्यमानं सर्वमपि पूर्वम् आसीत् इति अस्माभिः वक्तुं न शक्यते, किन्तु प्राचीनकाले विज्ञानस्य विकासः नास्ति इति नास्ति, किन्तु पर्यावरणे अनुकूलकरविज्ञानं तदा आसीत्। केवलं विग्रहस्य निर्माणार्थम् अपि वृक्षः कर्तनीयश्चेत् पूर्वस्मिन् दिने रात्रौ तत्र आयुधानां तत्र लेपः करणीयः इति वास्तुशास्त्रे उच्यते। घृतस्य मधु लेपं कृत्वा तेन कुठारेण वृक्षस्य कर्तनं कार्यम्। अनन्तरं प्रार्थना करणीया, ये ये पक्षिणः, ये ये भूताः अत्र वसन्ति ते अन्यत्र गच्छन्तु इत्युक्ते तेषां तथा अन्येषां विषये तथा चिन्तयन्ति स्म। किन्तु अस्माकं किं भवति इत्युक्ते दे आर् ओन्लि द स्टेक् होल्डर्स् इति तथा अस्माकं भावः अस्ति। किन्तु भारतीयैः कथं कृतं प्राचीनकाले प्रकृत्या सह जीवनं तत्र कृतं विद्यते। तत्र प्रकृतौ ये प्रावणिनः सन्ति नित्यजीवने तेषाम् उपयोगः तैः कृतः आसीत् तैः सह विद्यमानानां तादृशं जीवनम् अस्माकम् आसीत् एवमेव खगोलशास्त्रस्यापि तेषां केलेण्डर् तदेव आसीत् यतो तैः वाट् बेस्ट् यूस् वी केन् डू बै दिस् प्रकृति नेचर् तथा तेषां चिन्तनम् आसीत् तेषां वस्तु अस्ति इदानीम् अद्य अस्माभिः द्वितीया अथवा मघानक्षत्रं मघा इत्युक्ते अद्य मघानक्षत्रस्य समीपे चन्द्रः अस्ति अतः मम जन्मदिनं यदा अस्मिन् दिने भवति अद्य तदा तस्मिन् दिने सा एव स्थितिः आकाशे भवति तत् प्रमाणं सप्रमाणम् अस्माभिः उक्तम् इदानीं मासः माघः माघः इति किमर्थम् उच्यते मघा अथवा पूर्व अनयोः अन्यतमस्थे चन्द्रमसि यदा पूर्णिमा भवति सः माघमासः चित्रास्वात्योः अन्यतरस्थे चन्द्रमसि यदा भवति चैत्रमासः नामान्यपि तथा निर्दिष्टानि सन्ति तदर्थम् एतादृशं विज्ञानं भारतीयं यदस्ति तत् अस्माभिः पुनः बहिरानयितव्यम् एतदर्थम् अस्माभिः प्रयत्नः करणीयः इति दृढसङ्कल्पेन सर्वकारः एतादृशीं योजनां आनीतवान् अस्ति तदर्थं विद्यालयस्य विश्वविद्यालये एतदर्थं चितम् इत्युक्ते एतस्य कार्यक्रमस्य कारणात् सत्यनारायणमहोदयेभ्यः एवं अत्र अध्यापतिरूपेण अस्माकम् IIT तः आचार्य सत्यनारायणमहोदयेभ्यः अपि भवताम् अस्माकं विश्वविद्यालयस्य पक्षतः हार्दं कार्तज्ञं वितरोमि एतावत्पर्यन्तं मम वचान् सृष्टवतां भवतामपि मम आधमर्ण्यं प्रकट्य विरमामि विस्तरात् वंस्
प्रमुख आचार्य भट्ट अस्य कार्यक्रमः आचार्य ते तावत् आभारतं यावत् प्रवासेषु एव तिष्ठन्ति बह्वीषु संस्थासु IKS कार्यशालाः कार्यक्रमाश्च विभिन्नरीत्या जायमानाः दृश्यन्ते एव अपि अवलोकितम् अस्माकम् अस्य विश्वविद्यालयस्य सुपरिचिताः सन्ति आचार्याः तान् सम्प्रार्थे अस्मान् कृपया कार्यशालायाः विषये
conduct this will have an opportunity not extend my much marks too much. This whole idea of these workshops build capacities in scholars, write interdisciplinary proposals, design not address the proposal looking for, also look for also to build your capacity submit it to any other organization or about. Now the way that the society have mentioned about the importance of right now the way the world is going end of some of the along with the contemporary both of them together, then we need to solve not just the current problems but also the emerging problems, because the idea is at the world today address that they basically approaches that we need to consider so that we can address those. Workshop is one of the build that capacity all of faculty actually be working. Those words stop here with a lot of time.
Matter of fact, the faculties in the different departments are not only good in interdisciplinary, but multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary, sir. So we are the best in getting into IKS and to serve the society, sir. Thank you, sir. अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य अध्यक्षभाषणाय अहम् अस्य राष्ट्रीयसंस्कृतविश्वविद्यालयस्य कुलसचिवान् कमाण्डर् छल्ला वेङ्कटेश्वर महोदयान् सम्प्रार्थये। अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य मुख्य अतिथयः भवन्ति आचार्याः के सत्यनारायण महोदयाः। एते IIT तिरुपतितः समागताः सन्ति। तत्र निदेशकाः इमे सन्ति। तान् सम्प्रार्थये कृपया अस्मान् सर्वान् उद्बोधयन्तु इति।
Morning, everyone. Namaskar. Lead for this workshop, Professors Ganti Surunarayan Murthy Garu, other senior colleagues from National Sanskrit University, various participants in this workshop. Professor has pointed out earlier when coming the guest, Narayana had mentioned about Professor Ganti Surunarayan Murthy's energy and initiatives. Ensuring that this program is well run and well participated. Yes, entities, whether it is college, different colleges at different level, research labs, really laudable. In fact, we ran a workshop at IIT Tirupati before the last call, before it ended. Come here 3 months back, in August, he had come to Tirupati, and we ran a similar workshop, but that was more an awareness workshop on the various initiatives on IKS cell patient. They have centers of excellence, they have research projects, other initiatives. So we had invited all the colleges around, the nearby. People came from various colleges, participated. And this led to my own colleague fitting a lot and putting together proposals. Team, and we are very happy that during the last call, IIT Tirupati, I think it sent in 3 or 4 proposals, and our Center of Excellence got approved of the research projects also. Center of Excellence is on Kalamkari art and on natural foods and food technology. Right, Professor Agarwal, natural food. And the research project is on evaluation of various Indian three organ platform. So basically, one of the things we are a country that has a long history of scientific knowledge that have evolved over. Of course, it's debatable whether it's 5,000 years or 8,000 years. The debate that on, but we have a long history, at least 5,000 years. Knowledge systems that have evolved, and in the last, and many of them have been based on deep training and deep, comes from a different perspective of how this knowledge is evolved compared to the modern way of the way knowledge being, kind of research that we go through, the way we get things in terms of validity, in terms of replicability, and so on. And in the last 200 years, obviously, under the colonial rule, a lot of these things were not encouraged, were suppressed, and we started losing some of these traditional systems, which the government and is right now trying to give them a right platform. And this initiative of the Indian knowledge systems in a very right direction, that perspective. Now, one of the things been happening is whatever we say, people say, oh, Indian knowledge, we had this in India. Right? That seems to be a typical refrain that's been happening. but in the current context, we need to validate this, them on strong scientific. And this is what this initiative is trying to do. I'll give you an example. I was involved in the restoration of the Saffron temple in Cambodia. So, the Angkor Wat of temples that were built in Cambodia between 8th century and the 11th century. The biggest temple, Angkor Wat temple. The amount of stone that's there in that Angkor Wat temple is more than the pyramid, the biggest pyramid in Egypt. And these people built these temples. Civilization flourished and suddenly collapsed after the 11th century. Just disappeared from the awareness of people around, and it was rediscovered only in the 1800s. And in the 1900s, they started restoring some of these temples. And India was involved in the restoration of the Angkor Wat temple. These temples have been going between being Hindu temples to Buddhist temples, depending on the king's affiliation at that point of time. And if you go to the Angkor Wat temple, on one side, Mahabharata is carved, the other side, the Ramayana is carved, bas relief carvings. You can see the churning of the nectar depicted and all these things. And this restoration was happening in the started restoration, and Cambodia was under the colonial rule of the French. A lot of influence. And in fact, in the 70s, when the Pol Pot regime was there, and all the other countries ran away, the only Indian team. And this restoration process, the way these temples were built, stone, it is fixed, and so on. Some of the mistakes that were made, conservation. Now there's a whole area of conservation science where you go and put concrete, cement as you like, but you should not be doing that, right? Even in right now in Alhasti temple, some of these interventions that were made by engineers who knew only concrete were the wrong ways to do it. And it is well understood now. And but anyway, coming back to the main thing, the civilization collapsed, and they were restoring the temples. And during this Pol Pot period in the 70s, a lot of the people went out. Then once that political stability came, a lot of restoration happening. There are countries, there are China, there is Switzerland, French are very strong. UNESCO, this is all being done under the of UNESCO. They look at very scientific methods. I'm going to do an intervention, and in a conservation, when we do this monuments conservation, we should do it in such a way that I can go back and take back to the original way it was earlier. I must be able to, undo what I did and redo the. That's a philosophy under which it's done. And I was surprised when I went there. There are about 12, 15 countries involved. Australia is doing something. Americans are restoring. The Indians were out of the sea in the 70s, but when Look East policy started, and former Honorable Prime Minister Vajpayee said Cambodia, they decided to start restoring, taking up one temple, and it was the most challenging temple, called the Tafram temple. And this temple, what happened is when civilization collapsed. I'm telling you all this as to why we need to get things from scientific. When the civilization collapsed, of course, there were locals who knew of the existence of this, but the outside world did. So from the 1300s onwards, nature started taking over all this. Trees growing over there, grass growing over there. Monuments started falling. Now this Tafram temple, they decided to quit the trees growing over them and all that to show how, while other temples they were completely restoring, rebuilding it stone by stone, a lot of technologies, LiDAR technologies to scan it, and a lot of other technologies, they decided to let the trees be there, and but at the same time protect the monument so that it's safe for the tourists. I think they get more tourists in that place than all the tourists who come to India. And there's another different story that India, we are not, in spite of having all this, we have a very small percentage of world tourism industry here. So they wanted to keep the uh, uh, trees as it is, but at the same time make the thing safe. And ASI, Archaeological Survey of India, was given the responsibility of this particular temple. And when they started intervening, and everything has to be approved by UNESCO. Before you do and touch anything, you have to write a proper methodology, a scientific basis for how you're doing the intervention. So it's as per the conservation principles that are currently. Everything you have to do a test, you have to show that it works, and then only they will let you do it. So we had this archaeological superintendent, like superintending engineer, equivalent archaeologist, very knowledgeable Sanskrit scholar, and he was there, sent in, and he would go and reel out some slokas and say, this is how it should be. This is as per this thing. But they will say, show me on the thing, show that, do demonstration, the scientific basis, do some calculations, and show that this will work. And there was a lot of conflict. Okay? No, we all know. We are all traditional. These are all old knowledge. How it should be. They say, show it to us on paper. You do an experiment and show me that this works. And that's why they were lost. Then they came to IIT Madras. And my colleagues at IIT Madras, Professor Devdas Menon, Professor, and all of us got involved and started doing the finite element modeling of the structure and showing how these interventions will help in structure stable and all that. And based on the reports we could give, finally they approved the intervention. Right? Which were, again, we took the knowledge from this thing, but put them on a scientific basis. And this is what the current expectation, that it's not enough that you know it's there, you can say it was 2000 years back, someone told this and this is how it has worked, but they want to show that. Now this is what the IKS initiative is trying to do, put this knowledge on strong scientific basis, what they're trying to encourage. And having someone like Professor Gandhi Srinivas, who's a professor in a university in US, who's come back to India, he had a proper tenured job there. He left that, Oregon State, right? He was a professor of bioprocesses, there, and then came and joined IIT Indore, and then right people head this with the right approach and the right attitude in taking this forward. And they brought him in, and I'm very happy the way he has been taking this forward. In fact, I met him last week at the G event, and he said he's coming to Tirupati for this workshop, and I thank NSU for inviting me be here. But most importantly, we need to ensure that the proposals are put on strong scientific. That is the objective of the workshop, on how to write proposals. Writing itself is technology, there is an art to it, how you write a proposal across as per the expectation. We're going to be evaluating this. And I'm glad that they've invited people from other institutes. In fact, last week I was in my hometown, Bhimavaram, and I had dropped by Sarkar Engineering College at their invitation, and I had visited the center who is doing similar related work. I said, you people have to plug into this IKS initiatives, some projects, and that their representatives also have come here. Uh, so this, so I request all of you to take this seriously. Most importantly, when our Honorable Shiksha Mantri ji, then Shiksha Mantri ji, Ramesh Pokhriyal had come, inaugurate our stage 1 campus, called the South Campus now, and also preside over a convocation. He had come here also to inaugurate your hostels at the time, building. And after the inauguration, next day when he was leaving, I had called on him before he left. And he told me, Satyanji, no, we have ISER here, IIT here, we have the National Sanskrit University. So we have to create a big center for knowledge, Indian knowledge system. Because you have strong technology institute, strong science institute, and you have a strong Sanskrit university which has the access reading this texts and interpreting them, and then a big center here, putting these three institutions together. In fact, I called a meeting. We had a couple of meetings. Then your then Vice Chancellor, late Professor, and then Sir Rani Sadasivamurthy, and then the director of ISER, myself, Ram Raju, and others. We had 2 meetings to discuss how do we formulate this center and what should be the rest of the center. So identify areas, architecture, food, climate, how they used climate, and so on, like this, and then medicinal plants, and so on. So we have identified this. Only thing is, we then when we found out, then felt first let us do some research projects and then create this centers of excellence under the existing, demonstrate, bring them us together in the platform and go for a big center after that. So as a first step, we've got the center of excellence. And in fact, this research project that we got is along with Ayurvedic University, the SV Ayurvedic University, along with them. That was the. So I encourage our colleagues across this. In fact, we've created a cluster of institutes. AP APSHI, the Pradesh State Council for Higher Education, has created 4 clusters across the state. So we have the Tirupati cluster, which is the biggest cluster of institutes. Then we have the Godavari cluster, NTU, Kakinada is doing that. We have the Vizag cluster, which Andhra University. Then you have the Anantapur cluster, which NTU Anantapur is anchoring, and the Tirupati cluster, which IIT Tirupati and SV University are anchoring. I happen to be the coordinator of. Among all these clusters, the biggest and also the most active in terms of they're on a common platform. So start talking to each other, write common proposals. Other institutions and around Tirupati, Kadapa, Ellore, and Sri of 15. So I encourage our colleagues to collaborate. No, not all of us can do everything. All of us have expertise in certain areas. All of us have certain resources under our disposal. But if we bring things together, start collaborating, we'll be able to achieve much. So, and this requires people starting to talk to each other, working together, sharing resources together, and the impact will be much more. So I encourage all of you to start discussing this. We have been very, for example, ISER and IIT have an arrangement where my students can go take courses in ISER, and ISER students can come take courses in our institute. Our timetables are shared. Next semester timetable is shared between the. And my students can register their courses. Their students can register my courses, and the credits are transferred. In the first semester, we have a requirement for our BTech students that all of them should do a language course. One of them is Sanskrit. And once again, we are very thankful to National Sanskrit University for sparing their faculty members to come and teach that course. IIT Tirupati. So they've been teaching every year. So I'm saying, if we start working together, I think we can do great stuff. We can do synergy will be much higher, right? So 1 plus 1 will be not 2, but maybe 4 or 5, right? So I request all of you to use this opportunity, these platforms that are being created under again the IKS initiatives. I think when they have multiple institutions coming together, they encourage that, right? So let us use this opportunity and do a great job of this initiative, a great opportunity that we have. Most importantly, India being a real emergent power now, and not necessarily to show our power, but we have a rich knowledge system on which we could bank on, and there's a lot of technology opportunities that we are having now that we could better utilize this thing using. For example, Sridhar is here who is looking at using some of these technologies. I have colleagues like Professor Kalidas who is looking at scanning a lot of these documents and then annotating them so that researchers across the world can access them, make them available for further research. So like this, there are a number of technology initiatives that we could leverage and take it forward. So thank you very much, Srinivas Garu. He's taken a special interest for this region. Within 3 months, he's come back a second time to ensure that all of us work together and make sure that we are properly equipped and trained to write the proposals well, not only write them well, and then execute them well. It's not enough just to get the money, but we also have to execute them well. So thank you very much for this, and for NSU for giving this platform for this forward. So all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your vast experience. It was indeed very helpful to all of us, sir, because you have made us know and understand the scientific approach and how we could, proceed further with empirical research also. Thank you, sir. सम्प्रति अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य अध्यक्षभाषणाय अहं कमाण्डर् छल्ला वेङ्कटेश्वर महोदयान् सम्प्रार्थये.
Andarki namaskaram. Dignitaries on the dais, delegates, and my friends. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor GSR Krishnamurthy Garu, has an important assignment outside, so he is not able to attend this important function today. But I am sure his blessings, his thoughts are with all of us and shall guide us. Today, we have with us Professor Ganti Suryanarayan Murthy Garu, Professor K. Satyanarayan Garu, Professor K. Suryanarayan Garu, the coordinator of this workshop. We have 3 Narayanas, the Trimurtis. 2 of them being Surya Narayanas, Surya, the sun, the source of light and energy, I am sure are going to fill this 2-day workshop with lots of energy. And we have Satyanarayan Garu, the Satya, truth, faithfulness will drive us in all our future research endeavors. So we could not have asked for better persons than they sitting here, guide us. And we have Professor Tirupati Garu, our Dean Academic Affairs, who is to academics for decades and has been guiding the university in his own way. And I thank him for being there with us today. What I learned in my life is 3 things are difficult. One is trying to climb a wall which is inclined towards you. trying to climb a wall which is inclined towards you. Second one is trying to kiss a girl who is bending away from you. And trying to address gathering who is more knowledgeable than you are. So I'm sure all of you would understand the predicament that I am going through at this moment. But given the opportunity, let me try and make what best I could do. Fundamentally, it's not very clear how the India, the Bharat, as an entity, allowed years and years, centuries and centuries, invasions by external aggressors, permitting them to occupy country, sometimes in parts, sometimes in larger parts, and plunder our wealth, knowledge. It's something difficult for us to understand. What was something missing? We in India, we all know the libraries of Takshila, then Nalanda, those Vishwavidyalayas, those days were plundered, desecrated, and the valuable texts were burned to ashes. I am sure we would have lost a great deal of Indian knowledge in this process. So it is the responsibility of all of us to see that the knowledge that we possess today, the knowledge that we are going to top it up with it, how is that it's going to be protected in all forms from the likely invasions? May not be in the physical form, but in several other forms, knowledge can be invaded. And how is that we take it forward? That's something I'm sure during next 2 days of deliberations on various research projects, how they are going to add to the value to the existing knowledge system, and how is that new knowledge is going to be carried forward for the generations together will be thought over. Of course, what is encouraging to see with all these invasions, still the idea of India survived, still remain as one entity as India. The Indian philosophy, the core of the Indian philosophy, the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam still remains relevant in these days as well. But then this needs to be understood by each and every one in this world to make benefit, profit out of that concept. We as Indians dream of becoming Vishwaguru. That's a tall order. Through these initiatives, how is that we are going to achieve that ultimate aim and put India at a higher pedestal is something also needs to be thought over by the academicians and the intelligentsia alike. We can also be proud and happy that the Indian art survived over these years despite the difficult circumstances and situations. Music, whether it is Carnatic, whether it is Hindustani or in other form, the dance, Bharatanatyam, Kathakali, Odissi, Manipuri, whatnot, in all forms it has survived. Similarly, all other art forms, sculpture, yoga, folklore, all have survived. That's something we can all be proud of, because these are the ones which keep us as Indians as a separate identity, in the Committee of Nations. And our art is well appreciated all over the world, and they take lessons on these things. So we can all be proud of that. Everything is not so bad. The Indian languages and literature has also survived. We are a multilingual country, society. All our languages find their place in society and have survived, and I'm sure they will thrive forward and will remain as they are, though we strive to have a single form of language. But at the same time, it is important that identities continue to be maintained. That's our strength and heritage. I'm sure we can all be proud of that. Then Indian life sciences, when we talk of Ayurveda, is still relevant as it stands today. However, there is a great deal of work which to happen in that area. It probably might have taken a beating this modern medical or medicinal world, but the relevance is still not lost, because that's the most human way of treating individual. Therefore, that needs to be taken forward through various collaborative initiatives, interdisciplinary or otherwise, so that it gains its prominence further. When it comes to Indian science and technology, there is no denial. We are pretty strong on that aspect. Maybe on the theoretical aspects, but when it comes to generating applications out of this knowledge, possibly we are not so advanced. So this is one area where we can think of how we can create applications out of the Indian knowledge system that we have in terms of science and technology. Sometimes one gets a feeling that in this modern science and technology era, the Indian knowledge systems have stayed back. But somehow I get a feeling that it's like a woman behind every successful man. If you permit me, I will also say a man behind every successful woman. These our Indian scientists, technocrats, who have been there in every possible developments that have taken place, science and technology. We have our Indians, whether it is NASA, whether it is IT developments that are taking place across the world, heading those institutions, guiding them. So in a way, through these Indians, maybe indirectly, the IKS has gone into the development of modern science and era. But however, it has not gained the kind of recognition, has not been so adequately acknowledged as the bank of Indian knowledge. Probably there is something that we need to do in those areas. In this era of patenting, the one who approaches first gets recognized. While we are developing the technologies, Indians seems to be possibly shy of looking for recognition, or they are lazy about taking up their achievements in the right fora at the right time, wherein we seem to lose out. Like we all know, the therapeutic values of turmeric has been claimed by a Westerner, while we know the same thing for centuries. It's an ancient knowledge as far as we are concerned. So we need to not only build on the knowledge, we also have to see to that this knowledge is well acknowledged and recognized and given its place of pride, in the Committee of Nations. So when we take up these research proposals and reach their conclusions, at the same time, one should see to that what has been researched and found out, taken to their logical conclusions, application-oriented conclusions, and also claiming the credit for what has been done. That's also equally important. I'm sure next phase that you are going to deliberate will come out with a good number of research proposals, interdisciplinary particularly. I'm sure you take it forward to research and then come out with tangible outcomes for the overall benefit and growth of the human beings with a humane face. So what that leaves me to say is thank you to our organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. In spite of being an able administrator, you have been with us when it comes to IKS or Sanskrit fraternity or any program that happens in NSU, sir. Thank you for your support. Samprati Sammanana Karyakramah Bhavishyati. Right now we are proceeding further towards felicitation ceremonies. I request Commander Challa Venkateshwar sir, the Registrar of National Sanskrit University, to felicitate Professor G. Suryanarayana Murthy. The Director of IKSL, Ministry of Education. I request the Dean Academic Affairs, Professor A. Shripad Bhatt sir, to felicitate Professor K. Satyanarayan sir, Director, IIT Tirupati. I request Dean Academic Affairs, Professor A. Shripad Bhatt sir, to felicitate our Registrar, National Sanskrit University, Commander Challa Venkateshwar. I now request our Registrar, National Sanskrit University, Commander Challa Venkateshwar sir, to felicitate our Dean Academic Affairs, Professor A. Shripad Bhatt sir. Sir, etesham adeshah asit karotu iti. I now request our Dean Academic Affairs, Professor A. Shripad Bhatt sir, to felicitate our Head Department of Research and Publication, Professor K. Suryanarayan sir, who is also the Director of IKSL of National Sanskrit University. सम्प्रति धन्यवादसमर्पणाय अनुसन्धानविभागस्य उपाचार्यान् शिवराम भट्ट महोदयान् सम्प्रार्थये।
विद्वन्नदीव्रातसहस्रपूर्णं तथा सहस्रप्रभुरत्नपूर्णं वेदादिवाक्यार्थतरङ्गलोलं सभासमुद्रं प्रणमामि मूर्धना नमः सभायै। अद्य आरभ्य दिनद्वयात्मिका शोधप्रस्तावलेखनम् इति विषयम् आधारीकृत्य कार्यशाला भारतसर्वकारस्य शिक्षामन्त्रालयस्य भारतीयज्ञानपरम्परा इति परियोजनया सह विश्वविद्यालयस्य अनुसन्धान अभिवर्धनकक्षेण च सह इयं कार्यशाला आयोज्यमाना वर्तते। अस्यां कार्यशालायाम् अस्माकं प्रार्थनाम् उररीकृत्य श्रीमन्तः प्रोफेसर् जी सूर्यनारायणमूर्तिमहोदयाः अस्याः कार्यशालायाः उद्देश्यं प्रतिपादितवन्तः। तेभ्यः विश्वविद्यालयपक्षतः हार्दान् धन्यवादान् वितनोमि। एवमेव विदेशे भारतस्य संस्कृतेः कियान् प्रभावो वर्तते, पुनः प्रासङ्गिकीम् आवश्यकताम् आधारीकृत्य रिसर्च् प्रपोजल्स् शोधप्रस्तावाः लेखनीयाः इति अस्माकं प्रार्थनाम् उररीकृत्य समायाताः अद्यतनमुख्यातिथयः आचार्याः के सत्यनारायणमहोदयाः अस्मान् उद्दिश्य उद्बोधितवन्तः। अतः तेभ्यः अस्याः कार्यशालायाः पक्षतः विश्वविद्यालयपक्षतश्च हार्दान् धन्यवादान् वितनोमि। एवमेव भारतीयगणितशास्त्रस्य महत्त्वं प्रासङ्गिकञ्च प्रतिपादितवन्तः अस्माकं विश्वविद्यालयस्य शैक्षणिकसङ्कायप्रमुखाः आचार्याः श्रीपादभट्टमहोदयाः। तेभ्यः अपि कार्यक्रमेऽस्मिन् समुपस्थाय भाषणं ते कृतवन्तः इति कृत्वा कार्यशालायाः पक्षतः तेभ्यः हार्दान् धन्यवादान् वितनोमि। एवमेव अस्याः कार्यशालायाः प्रास्ताविकम् एवं समागतानां समेषामपि हार्दं स्वागतम् उक्तवन्तः आचार्याः अनुसन्धानप्रकाशनविभागस्य अध्यक्षाः आचार्याः के सूर्यनारायणमहोदयाः। तेभ्यः अपि सन्दर्भेऽस्मिन् हार्दान् धन्यवादान् वितनोमि। एवमेव वयं प्रतिकार्यक्रमम् अनुभवामः। कोऽपि वा कार्यक्रमः भवतु, प्रशासनस्य अनुमतिं विना वयं कार्यक्रमं सफलं कर्तुं न शक्नुमः। प्रशासनकार्येषु अत्यन्तं दक्षाः भवन्ति अस्माकं कुलसचिवाः श्रीमन्तः कमाण्डर् चल्ला वेङ्कटेश्वरमहोदयाः। तेभ्यः ते अपि अस्मिन् कार्यक्रमे अमूल्यं समयं प्रदाय उपस्थितवन्तः। तेभ्यः अपि कार्यशालायाः पक्षतः हार्दान् धन्यवादान् वितनोमि। एवमेव विशिष्य अस्यां कार्यशालायां भिन्नेभ्यः संस्थानेभ्यः, महाविद्यालयेभ्यः, विश्वविद्यालयेभ्यः आचार्याः, सहाचार्याः, सहायकाचार्याः, शोधच्छात्राः एवं विश्वविद्यालयस्य नैके अध्यापकाः आचार्याश्च उपस्थिताः सन्ति। तेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः अपि अस्मिन् प्रसङ्गे हार्दान् धन्यवादान् वितीर्य विरमामि विस्तरात्। धन्यवादाः।
Before we part for the tea break, just one idea I was mentioning. As what I understood with my little understanding, that for every modern science, there was a parallel science in ancient India. Any modern science, whatever subject you may take, we have got a parallel science. Computer science was developed. I just want to give one example. Paninian grammar you have known, it is considered as a monument of human intelligence. Panini has written a software without actually having a hardware. So it was a computational grammar. People could not understand, many people could not understand why Panini had to adopt a very artificial language, very difficult language to describe a language. In the Renan Martin English grammar, everybody can understand, you can go through and understand. But why Panini has written a grammar which was very complex, and it was called organized chaos. Western scholars, when they have gone through, they were not able to understand. And they told that it's an organized chaos. And then, only when computer science was developed recently, people were able to understand that the same concepts were there. So the modern science is developing. Till modern science was developed, computer science was developed, people were thinking it was very crazy. I mean, it was, so the same concepts like artificial language, technical language was used by Panini, and its importance or its significance was only understood by people only after the development of computer science. So otherwise people were thinking that it was a very tough thing, but he was, so it is the first computational grammar. So for every modern science, we have got a parallel science. And since Sir was mentioning our chief guest, so at the Sanskrit University, we have got many texts in different areas. Well, whatever may be the texts, I am very happy that many scholars, many teachers from different institutes are here who have come from different backgrounds. I mean, so we can definitely help with the Sanskrit or textual references or whatever information is required. So definitely we have got a lot of information, and we have got a lot of scholars here. What I've seen just so this just one point we want to mention. In whatever may be field, some people just as scholars from Bhimavaram have come, they told that they are also working on Krishi Shastram, and so different people are working on different areas, but they're working in their areas, I'm working in my area and all that. So the IKS has provided us a platform that people from different, and there is a common platform. Now I can know that they are working, and I also can collaborate, or anybody who is working. And we are also very happy to collaborate with Raghav Rao Garu, who has got IKS. He was a great scholar and scientist. So this is just one information which I wanted to tell. I think now we can go for proceed for the tea break, and here we are